Hey there, it's Ben Taylor. If you're here, it's because you've been hurt, confused, and you might have been left wondering by the man who loved you, who turned into someone that you barely even recognize. I get it, because I was him. I was the narcissist, and today I'm pulling back the curtain just to give you an unfiltered look inside of a narcissist's mind. No sugarcoating, just raw truth of what's actually going on in some of the inner workings, and we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about some of the core of narcissistic personality disorder. Narcissism isn't built on confidence. It's fear wrapped in arrogance. There's a piece of me that needed to feel superior because deep down I felt like nothing. That grandiose persona, it's a mask. Your admiration, that was oxygen. And every time you got to the place where you praised the guy that's in your life, like to keep his fragile ego from crumbling, without it, he felt exposed. That's how I felt for such a long period of time. I felt weak. I felt insignificant. And as a result, I started to manipulate every situation to maintain that perfect image. I'd twist the truth. I'd rewrite history. I'd gaslight you until you question your own memories. That was the goal. I got to the place that I thrived on the control, and the confusion became fuel to be able to continue moving forward, doing what I wanted to do. Inside of it, I would craft stories that would paint me as the victim, making you feel guilty for even questioning or even doubting me. And every time there was an argument, it ended with me twisting the facts so much that you'd be the one that would apologize, even when I was in the wrong. And I knew exactly what I was doing every single time. Inside of this, there wasn't a piece of me that felt anything. I didn't care. I didn't care about your feelings because there's a piece of me that couldn't. Because caring meant vulnerability. It meant that I have to admit that I did something wrong. Meant that I would have to actually see the guilt and the shame that was inside my life that I didn't want to deal with. And as a result, vulnerability scared the hell out of me. It was something that I ran away from. When you cried or when you begged, I saw it as a manipulation tactic because that's how my mind worked. That's what I would do. I remember thinking, if you're hurt, that's your problem. That's your issue. Your pain, your crying, that was an inconvenience to me. And the more you hurt, the more powerful I felt. I could watch you break down and I could feel nothing because acknowledging your pain would mean that I would have to acknowledge my cruelty. Mean I'd have to acknowledge the things that I was doing wrong, and I wasn't ready for that because I didn't want to deal with the guilt and the shame that I felt. So as a result, I continued to look for supply, admiration, and I craved it. Every compliment, every glance, every time you put me on a pedestal, it fed my ego, and in the beginning, I gave up everything. I mirrored your dreams, your desires, your hopes, because I needed you to be hooked. I studied you. I knew what you wanted, and I became that person, designed and developed who I thought you wanted me to be. But once I had you, I started pulling away. I started to ration out my love, giving you just enough to keep you desperate, hoping, thinking it might be more. It wasn't love, it was just control. And the worst part is I knew that it was working and I didn't care. But I was getting what I wanted. So I just lived for more validation, getting external validation, looking to see if I could get the praise from work, if I could get your approval for different things. But no matter how much validation I got, it was never enough. I remember looking, refreshing my phone for a few minutes, needing an extra hit of validation, hoping that you respond. And when you didn't feed my ego, I made you pay. Silent treatments, gaslighting, making you feel like you were never enough. And I thrived on making you doubt yourself because it meant that I was still in control over you and that I didn't have to face my own fears. The fears of vulnerability. I feared vulnerability more than anything in the entire planet. Being vulnerable meant you could hurt me. So I built up walls. I sabotaged every close moment because intimacy felt like it would be a threat to me. The more you tried to love me, the more I pushed it away. I convinced myself that needing someone made me weak, made me needy. So I hurt you before you could hurt me. Pushed you away before you could push me away. I was protecting who I was. I was protecting the fragile version of me. And I did that through manipulation. It was like my safety net. Like I gaslit you until you question your own reality. I blamed you for everything, even my own mistakes. I isolated you from friends, from family, because the more isolated you were, the more control I had over you. I remember the lies that I told, the promises I broke, and the pain that I caused, not because you deserved it, but because it made me feel powerful. And it made me avoid the reality that it was me, that it was my issue, that it was things that I'd done. The hardest part inside of this is the guy in your life, he's not going to change. Not because he can't, but because change means facing his deepest fears. And for most guys, they won't. Every promise to change is just another manipulation. He senses that something's different. He has to be able to shift it up to be able to actually keep you under his control. Everything that's happening at the end of the relationship, that's manipulation. It's not because he finally had a come to Jesus moment and he figured it out. He knows, if I do this, she will stay. I know this because I had to face those fears myself. I had to face the things, and most narcissists don't even face. The shame, the guilt, the fears. Most people won't even face them because they're not willing to be truthful and honest. And for the longest period of time, I wasn't. I felt like it was easier to be able to put you down than it was to deal with my own shit. I felt like it was easier to call you out for things that weren't even true than it was to highlight the things in my life that were true. I was afraid that if I focused on truth and actually acknowledged the things that I'd done, that I'd have to deal with it, and that dealing with it would bring up shame and guilt. And shame and guilt for me not just felt like vulnerability, weakness, but it felt like death. It felt like there was no way away from it. It felt like if I showed that, if I exemplified that, that I would literally die. So as a result, I continued to push it back on you, making you feel like you're crazy, making you feel like you're too sensitive, making you feel like you're the one to blame. And as a result, it would shift and move you every single day to get to a place that you'd start to believe the reality that I was creating. And I did this over and over and over again, not just once, not just twice, but for years. Constructing and building not the walls around myself, but the walls around you. The walls that told you that you weren't good enough. The walls that told you and looked back at you in a bleak bliss of like, how could you even do this? How could you even move forward? You couldn't because you didn't have me. I made you dependent on me. Like I put you in a prison and kept feeding you breadcrumbs, hoping that you just stay simply because you didn't have anywhere else to go. You didn't have the friends and family because I pulled you away from them. I told you that they were being ridiculous. I told you that they were too much for you. I told you so many lies that you would believe just so you would believe me. And as a result, I stripped everything out of your life. I stripped every connection, tie, person out of your life so that you would be dependent on me. And every single day coming home, like the person that's in charge of the jail, walking through and giving you the breadcrumbs that you think you need to be able to keep you just a little bit longer so that you stay stuck. Inside of this, I want you to see that you're not crazy. Even though you might believe it, you're not crazy. You're not too sensitive, and you're not to blame. The guy in your life, he hurts you to feel powerful, but you can leave. You have the strength, even if he made you believe otherwise. I need you to find people who actually see your worth, set boundaries, actually seek help. Because if you don't do this, your reality is going to be what I just said. Your reality is going to be the same cycle over and over and over again. You don't have to do this alone. The reason why I'm here and why you're watching this video today is because I walked all of this on the path from the other side. From the manipulation, from the coercion, from all the different pain and the frustration, and there was never closure that the other person was able to get from me until I was able to actually see truth and proclaim it. And that's what I do now. I have a mission to be able to help liberate women that are trapped in toxic relationships and wake men up that are the ones doing the abuse. And inside of this, you have to see and recognize what you're currently dealing with, what you're currently struggling with. While you're watching this video and while I've been talking, you might have resonated and felt what I was saying. You might have felt the situation that I put you in. You might have even got clarity of understanding, oh, that's what he was thinking. And more than that, once you've become aware, once you wake up to the reality of what you're currently facing, there needs to be something you do about it. I was talking to a client earlier today, and the reality is, in working with us, if you wake up to the reality that you're in an abusive relationship and then you go back to sleep saying that it's not that big of a deal, you'll stay stuck even longer. And the freedom that you want tasted will then be the shame and the guilt that keeps you trapped inside of another prison. But the prison won't be him, the prison will be you. Knowing and understanding that you could and should have made a different decision to be free, but you were unwilling to do so. Or you told yourself that it wasn't that big of a deal. The videos I make are for people that are ready to be free. They know and they crave it deep inside their soul that there's something more for them on this planet than simply to be used and abused inside the relationship that they're in. They crave to actually see and understand that there's a different version of them out there that right now cannot be revealed because of the guy that's with them. You realize deep inside that you're called to do more. You're called to live a life that is more than simply where you currently are. Instead of shrinking, there's an opportunity for you to grow and develop and be the woman that God's actually called you to be. If you're watching this video right now and you're ready to break free, I want you to apply for a free call with me at rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. Because inside of this, the opportunity for you to heal and grow and develop, there needs to be a place that you realize and see he's been controlling you for such a long period of time. He's been breaking you down for such a long period of time. I'm here to help you understand the mindset so that you can actually heal once and for all. I'm here to be able to show you step by step, to break it down so you have a deeper look at what narcissistic behavior actually is, what it does, but how it also controls you for such a long period of time till you think that that's the only thing controlling you. I want you to move forward today. Go and apply for a call. rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. The opportunity here is for you to actually see freedom once and for all. To no longer believe his lies, to no longer believe all the things that I did earlier in the video, just talking and saying, hey, this is what he's doing. I need you to see that and wake up to the reality that if you don't change the things that are happening in your life right now, you stay stuck forever. Don't believe me? Look at the past couple of years. And where are you now? If you're ready to break free from this, it's time for you to reach out. Click on the link below, go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. The opportunity for you to schedule a call with me for us to sit down and build a plan for your healing process so you can be free permanently, mentally, emotionally, physically, breaking the trauma bond, eradicating the triggers, stepping into a place of confidence and clarity, and finally having the closure that he's never given you. You've been told it's all your fault and that makes you feel crazy. No one understands you and that leaves you in a place of being alone. You've tried to break free multiple times and that leaves you helpless because nothing you've done has actually worked. It hasn't actually got you free or liberated from this toxic relationship. So you feel crazy, alone, and hopeless. Guess what? That's a lie. Because all it is how you've been raised and conditioned inside of this abusive relationship over and over. And as a result, you've sacrificed your growth, you've sacrificed your worth, and you've been trapped inside of a toxic relationship. What if I showed you the path to freedom? A way for you to actually get free mentally and emotionally from the toxicity that's happening right here, right now. You deserve more. You deserve to be able to heal. And I want to help you with that. If I can help you with that, go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough, schedule a call there, and let's talk.